And we are live. You already know who it is. My name is Mike Kyle, aka the Fantasy Vulture. I have over a decade worth of fantasy football experience and have continuously competed for fantasy championships over the course of the past 8 seasons. Let's make it 9 in 2021. But enough of me. I'm here for you. On today's episode of the FB Show, we're going to continue our NFL pre-draft series, breaking down all the incoming offensive rookies and looking at them through the lens of fantasy football. Up next, Oklahoma State running back Chuba Hubbard. So if you're excited for this video, be sure to hit that like button down below. Also, smash that subscribe button so you never miss a video from me. I have like 30 videos coming out over the course of the next 10 days. So a lot of fantasy and dynasty football content coming through your way. Other than that, let's go. Follow me on all social media platforms. There we go. Follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture and check out the website ffvulture.com for some premium fantasy football packages over there. But without further ado, let's just dive right in. This is a player who I'm actually really excited to talk about because I have some thoughts. So without further ado, let's just get started. Where we at? Alright. So starting off with Chuba here. Let's just go through the measurables. 21.9 years old. He's 6 foot, 208, and runs a 4.51 40. This dude is blazing on the ground. Just an absolute gamer in terms of speed and size. Like, it's actually this very weird combination of he's one of the bigger running backs in this draft class. You can actually just tell when you watch some of the highlights, like, just how big he is. He's kind of like a track star, in all honesty. You know, he has the ability to just take like those long strides and pick up speed that way. So he had limited 2021 action, limited 2020 action. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But this is just a dude where if he can get through that first level, he's just gone. I mean, there's nobody that's going to be able to catch him. So that's like really interesting for fantasy, especially when you just think of like just big plays, right? If you need a spot start guy and you just need one play, this might be the dude that you need. Like, his straight line speed is on a 10. But I also think that because of his limited action in 2020, it feels like he is the forgotten running back of this draft class. And the reason why is because he had so much hype coming out of 2019, which was his best season. And I think either he was injured or he considered sitting out in 2020 due to just COVID. And ultimately, he did play in 7 games, and he got the majority of the work in 5 of them. And then in the second half of the season, he really did just disappear, whether you shut him down or whatever the case may be. But going through some of his numbers in terms of just best seasons, I believe, let me make sure that I have this right, because I think my notes are wrong, because like, that would be an absurd, no, like that actually is correct. Yeah, that is absolutely correct. I talked about this in the Michael Carter video, but with Chuba, like, he legitimately had 328 carries in 2019. Like, I thought I typed it wrong. I didn't. 328 carries in 2019. He rushed for 2,000 yards. And then in terms of pass catching work, 31 targets, 23 receptions, 198 receiving yards, and 21 total touchdowns. Like, Chuba Hubbard is just an absolute beast at the running back position. And like, it is very weird because, you know, we've seen all the hype around Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne, and Najee Harris. But when you look at just sheer production, Chuba Hubbard might be like top 2, top 3, right? And just nobody's talking about him. And I'm trying to figure out why that is the case, because even still, look at this, just gone, bye, adios. But if you just look at like what he was doing this year, even still, his first 5 games that he played, 20 plus rush attempts in all of them, got in the end zone in 4 out of the 5 games. In one of those games, he had a 2 touchdown game. So 5 games, 5 touchdowns, over 20 carries, had over 100 rushing yards, and 3 of them, like, I'm sorry, I'm looking over here, I got my notes over here, but it's wild. It really is just jarring how nobody is talking about this kid right now. And I think some team is going to get a steal. The only thing that I have a concern about is how much does speed translate to the next level? Because he kind of is a one-trick pony in that way, where it feels like he is so reliant upon speed, and God forbid if he suffers any major injuries to his legs, like what happens after that? Or like simply put, like what if the NFL game is just as fast as he is, right? What does that look like? But I mean, even still, you're watching some of these runs and some of these highlights that he puts together, and it really is just impressive. His breakaway ability, like that's a really great one there where he cuts back and just kind of breaks through a few tackles. And what does Chuba's game look like at the next level? I struggle with this. I really do, because the difference between Michael Carter and Chuba is that I think Michael Carter has a pretty like solidified role in the NFL. Like worst case scenario, he's going to be a pass catching running back, because like that's the mold that he fits into. And I think that Chuba kind of falls in line with that same category, not in terms of the fact that he's going to be a pass catching third down back, but we have seen teams more and more try and start to utilize these change of pace guys. If you look at Baltimore, for example, if you look at San Francisco, where these teams just have a plethora of running backs and they all have different styles, and so based on situation and game script, they can just kind of slide and rotate guys in and out. And I actually think that's where Chuba really fits into the modern NFL as this change of pace speed guy. So that's going to be really interesting, and he's definitely shown the ability, though, to handle a heavy workload and be hyper-productive when he gets the opportunity. So the comparison that I have for him is actually one of those guys that is in that system, that platoon-type system, and I actually think his best comparison is Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert is a speed guy. You watch him of Raheem Mostert's tape, and it is very similar to the way that he's able to kind of navigate the field and just break off runs in the way that Chuba does. And I do think it's very ironic too, not even intentional really, that Raheem Mostert is in like that systemized role of being able to just come in, change a pace, and just be this guy that just kind of wreaks havoc when he steps on the field. Now, Raheem Mostert has definitely had the career development that I think Chuba can absolutely have, where this is a guy who is just kind of on the bench, gets limited action, and then all of a sudden just becomes a starter and then takes off. So that's really interesting to me. In terms of like where I think he's going to go in the draft, 3rd or 4th round, I'd be shocked if he went in the 2nd round, maybe in the back of the 2nd. But again, we know that the way that this running back class is really structured, we have the top 3 gap everybody else for the most part. So where he slides in terms of those guys is going to be really interesting in that 2nd tier. Looking at where I have Chuba compared to some of the other guys right now, like he's not in the top 3. I like another player more than him for sure. And then we just get in this conversation of who do you like more in terms of Mike Carter, Chuba, Trey Sermon. Like there's a lot of these running backs really just blend in, and landing spot is going to dictate the majority of their fantasy football success. So on paper right now, I'm a pretty big Chuba guy, just based off of like just speed alone and what he can do. But it is going to be very much reliant on where he lands in the NFL draft. So that's what I got for Chuba Hubbard, running back from Oklahoma State. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button down below. Also smash that subscribe button so you don't miss a video from me. And remember, people come and go, but fantasy championships are forever, and I will see you in the next video.